Let's talk about something really interesting today. You probably have coins lying around your house. Maybe in a drawer, a jar, or even at the bottom of your bag. But did you know one of those pennies could be worth thousands of dollars? That's right. A small 1-cent coin, just like the ones we use every day, could actually be worth $4,000 or even more if it has a rare error. And today, we're going to talk about one very special penny from the year 1983. This coin might look like any other penny, but it's got a big secret that makes it extremely valuable to collectors. Let's start with a little history so we can understand why the 1983 penny is so important. The 1-cent coin in the United States has had Abraham Lincoln's face on the front since 1909. That's a long time. It was made to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday. And the design has stayed pretty much the same for many years. Now, in the early years, pennies were made mostly of copper. But by the early 1980s, the cost of copper was getting very high. It was becoming more expensive to make a penny than the penny was actually worth. So the U.S. Mint, which is the place where coins are made, decided to change the metal used in pennies. In 1982, they started making pennies out of a cheaper metal called zinc, with just a thin layer of copper on the outside. So, instead of being solid copper, they were mostly zinc inside and only looked like copper on the outside. This change saved a lot of money, and from 1983 onward, all pennies were supposed to be made this new way. But here's where it gets interesting. In 1983, the U.S. Mint accidentally used the old copper blanks, called planchets, to make a few of the new pennies. This means some of the 1983 pennies were made of solid copper when they were supposed to be made of mostly zinc. Only a few of these copper 1983 pennies have ever been found, and they are extremely rare. This kind of mistake is called a transitional error, because the mint was transitioning from one kind of metal to another. Coins with transitional errors are always valuable because they aren't supposed to exist. These 1983 copper pennies look just like regular pennies, but they are heavier. That's the big clue. If you have a 1983 penny and you want to know if it's one of the rare ones, you need to weigh it. A regular 1983 penny made of zinc weighs about 2.5 grams, but a rare copper one weighs about 3.1 grams. You don't need any fancy tools to weigh it. A small digital scale, which you can buy online for just a few dollars, will do the trick. If your 1983 penny weighs around 3.1 grams, you might have a very rare and valuable coin. Some of these have sold for $$4,000 or more, depending on the condition of the coin. That's a big return for a coin that says 1 cent on it. But that's not the only reason 1983 pennies can be valuable. There are also other kinds of errors that make them interesting to collectors. One of the most famous errors from 1983 is called the double die reverse. This happens when the back of the coin is struck twice by the machine, but the images are not perfectly lined up. This causes the letters and details to look doubled. On a 1983 double die reverse penny, you can see the doubling clearly in the words 1 cent and e pluribus unum on the back of the coin. If you spot this kind of doubling, especially under a magnifying glass or coin loop, that coin could also be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another type of error is called an off-center strike. This means the coin was not centered correctly when it was made, so the design is shifted to one side. If a 1983 penny is off-center, and you can still see the full date on it, it could be worth quite a bit of money. Some of these can sell for $50 to $300 depending on how off-center they are. Then there's something called a clipped planchet error. This happens when the blank piece of metal that becomes the coin is cut incorrectly, and part of it is missing. The coin looks like someone took a little bite out of it. These can also be valuable, especially if the clip is large and the date is still visible. Even though pennies are common and low in value, collectors love them because of their long history and the many types of errors that can happen. Every coin has its own story. The 1983 1-cent coin is a perfect example of how a small mistake at the mint can turn a regular penny into a collector's dream. And the best part is, these rare coins are still out there. They could be hiding in your change, inside a coin jar, or passed down in an old collection. That's why it's a good idea to check your coins carefully. When you're checking, remember to look at the weight first. If it's around 3.1 grams, that's a great sign. Also look for doubling in the letters on the back of the coin, or anything that looks unusual. Even small errors can be worth something. If you think you found something special, it's always a good idea to take it to a coin dealer or send it to a professional coin grading service. They can tell you exactly what you have and how much it might be worth. Keeping your coins in good condition is also very important. Coins that are scratched, dirty, or worn down are usually worth less than coins that are in great shape. So if you find a coin you think is valuable, don't clean it. Just keep it safe in a coin holder or protective sleeve. In the end, the 1983 1-cent coin is a perfect example of how something small and simple can hold a lot of value. It shows us that sometimes mistakes can turn into something amazing. Whether it's a copper transitional error, a double die, or an off-center strike, these coins are highly prized by collectors. And best of all, they're still out there, waiting to be found. So next time you get some change back from the store, take a second and look at those pennies. You never know, you just might be holding a tiny treasure worth thousands of dollars. Happy coin hunting.